to continue getting better, and they are willing to try new things to do that. And that's not really easy to do. You know, whether that's adjusting how we guard different actions, whether that's adjusting kind of some of our movement in our offensive looks, but they've been very willing to try to do new things to help us continue to get better.
Do you have a sense yet kind of what the ceiling for this team can be, or how good it can be?
Oh, we don't look at that right now. We're just trying to figure out how to compete against a really veteran team that's really disciplined and tough on both ends of the court in Purdue. So, you know, the bottom line is we have to continue to understand the urgency that we have to play on every possession. And that's something that's really hard for any team, but especially for a newer team, newer meaning to a new staff. That's something we've got to continue to get better at.
Coach, how does Mara Braun continue to, I guess, evolve? And I imagine when you came here and we're looking into the roster you had coming in, she was maybe one that you like, all right, there's something to really build off with her.
Well, the fun part for us as coaches is that, you know, we had seen so many of these young ladies play in AAU or high school, and so we had a chance to kind of know who they were in that regard. In watching Mara in particular, I just think she's someone who really has a very high desire to do well and continue to grow her game, and I think you're seeing that right now. Saw that a little bit again in our last game in Kentucky, in different ways to get around the rim, as well as continue to really shoot it. We showed the one she hit that was really deep in transition. I was like, oh my, when she let it go, and I was like, wow, that was something, that was pretty deep. And then we had to tell everyone that's a shot that Mara has the green light to shoot. It doesn't mean everybody has the green light to shoot that, but so she's someone who is affecting the game on the offensive end in a lot of ways. We're looking now at how her movement offensively is continuing to help us as well. She's continuing to learn how to get different opportunities within our offense. She's also someone who, again, starts our defense for us and really needs to kind of be the captain in that realm, and, you know, in starting our defense, and really be a voice for us back there defensively to help us get stops.
Is Grace continuing to just obviously add to the offense as well? Do you like what she's bringing to the table each night?
We do, and I think Grace is someone who, again, because of her ability, she's played in a system that's very similar to this, and so she's able to see some reads potentially a little bit quicker than some other freshmen may be able to do that. She's also someone that I think, when her understanding of the game defensively, she made a really big play for us on the defensive end against Kentucky when she got caught in a ball screen and the post kid rolled and Sophie helped her and she stole the pass to the post kid. So there's not a way that you can necessarily always communicate what's happening at that time in that moment fast enough that it comes out and your teammate hears it and your teammate responds. You just have to kind of get a feel of playing together, and that's about what you saw in that possession.
Which do you think is further along in terms of what you want, the offense or the defense?
Well, I think it depends on the game at this point in time. Sometimes our defense is a lot farther ahead than our offense has been. Other games, and I think Kentucky was probably one of those games, our offense was farther ahead earlier in that game, and then our defense finally kicked in the second half. So I think right now it kind of depends on what our matchup is, who our opponent is, what that looks like. You know, certainly the really challenging part is heading into the Big Ten now against Purdue, who's really good on both ends of it. You don't have a choice but to be ready from the beginning and attack on both ends, and that's going to be a challenge for us.
What were some of the key spots of learning or takeaways from that playing that Power 5 team that you can take away going into Big Ten play?
Well, the speed, athleticism, size, determination that Kentucky plays with is really pretty elite. If that's, you know, they're someone who we've seen in our non-conference some very, very good mid-major teams who have some really good athleticism in certain positions, or really skilled kids on the perimeter, or play a certain style that's very challenging to play against. You know, Kentucky has a lot of that. They have the size, they have the speed, they have a style that's different, they have all of it. And so to kind of put it all into one setting is something that we had to do on that trip. And I think their way of attacking each part of it, when we go back and we look at all of our opponents, each opponent has taught us something different about ourselves, or a different part of how we need to approach, whether that's a transition look for us, a transition look for our opponents. So we continue to take some different pieces from different teams and try to apply it now, getting ready for Big Ten play. So I think the overall athleticism, speed, size of Kentucky was something that was unique. Now we go into Purdue. Purdue has size, athleticism, and they have some really, really skilled kids on top of it. So, and that adds a whole nother challenge.
When you're preparing for a team, you obviously have a scouting report. I'm sure Mara is on the top of everybody's scouting report, but you have 5 starters all essentially averaging in double figures. As a coach who prepares for teams like that, is that one of the things that an asset for you guys? I mean, to what extent does it make opponents have to kind of change the way they prepare for you guys? The fact that you have 5 players who can, score 20 points in any given night.
Yeah, it's hard for me to answer how other teams approach that. I do know from our standpoint that presents some challenges, obviously, because you have to understand style, personnel, all those type of things. I think ultimately each player on our roster is continuing to develop and grow. We're seeing that right now. I thought Sophie played maybe her best basketball game against Kentucky. She scored 8 points, I think, in the game, but she had 3 assists. She was swarmed inside. She made a lot of plays. She attracted a lot of players defensively when she sprinted to the rim, and that opened up different kids. She had 10 rebounds in the game. She did a really good job. So I think it's what makes us continue to improve is that we have to understand how teams defend us. Kind of your question, how are they defending us, and how do we respond to that? Are we able to get it inside? Are they playing us one-on-one? Are they fronting? Are they playing behind and swarming? Are they daring us? Or what are they doing? What does that look like? And I think the challenge with Purdue and with a lot of teams in the Big Ten, but Purdue's this week, is that they understand that at a very high level, their coaches do, and they do a really good job of making teams feel uncomfortable, taking away what they're really good at doing. And so that'll be something that hopefully we not only are prepared for, but that we can continue to make adjustments to within the course of the game, because they have the ability to make several adjustments.
My last question is, you have 3 players in your starting lineup who are legitimate 3-point threats at this point. I think Mallory might be your highest percentage 3 shooter, but Grace is really starting to hit, and like you say, Mara can hit from the logo if she needs to. I know you like to go inside out in your game, but the fact that you can space that way, to what extent is that an asset for what you're trying to do at that end?
Well, it certainly works hand in hand. If you're hitting shots on the perimeter, it opens up the inside. If you're scoring it inside, it opens up the outside. And being able to recognize when we should take advantage of what look or how to take advantage of how teams play, how important it is. There are some possessions, we talked about this before Kentucky, there are possessions, there are teams, and there are possessions within games that we always talk about catch to shoot, or catch to be a threat, catch to score it inside. But there are possessions where teams are really trying to steal passes, make life difficult, that when you catch it, you better catch to protect the ball first and then make something happen. And sometimes that's a style of play for an entire team. I think Connecticut was a team that is really good at that. As soon as players get their hands on the ball, they knock it out of your hands a lot. Kentucky is a team like that. And so I think for us, recognizing some of the finer points of when you have to do what within the course of a game. Sometimes it's a matter of just completing passes and taking care of the ball first before you can then look and attack inside, or penetrate, or move it, or shoot from a screen.
What type of threat does Janae Terry pose to a defense?
Wow, she's what is she, the first player in the country this year to have a double-double, and it's not with points. And so she is someone who creates at such a high level, such a veteran, smart player. that will be an incredible challenge for us. But then they also have other veteran players at the same time. Ellis is very experienced, Harper is very experienced, Layden is very experienced, and then their freshmen are really talented and good and tough and have great speed and athleticism. So their combination is what makes them really, really dangerous.
Do you guys feel like you're a team that can bring your own intensity both at home and on the road?
Well, that was a little bit of a challenge for us, and I don't know if it's necessarily that we didn't or we don't understand at what level we have to bring it at, and certainly we did that in the second half, which was really, really good to see. We have the ability to do that. When you're on the road, you can't wait for someone else to create it for you. You have to do it on your own. At home, you have an advantage with your crowd and with your comfort at that point in time. So that was something that we got better at it as the game went on.
Any more for Coach?
Okay, thank you. See you Sunday.